Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston Pizza at home.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
What do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50/50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta. Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston pizza at home.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
Welcome to the Leduc Curling Center here in Leduc, Alberta. Live this morning, we have semifinal action between Team Duncan and Team Hennig. I'm live here. This is Jason Ginter, live with Rhett, Mallioux, and Raymond Van Stone.
How are you doing tonight today, gentlemen?
Oh, doing great. Ready to watch some good curling action. Jason, what about you?
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, this has been something marked on the calendars for both of these young teams for quite some time now. We have Team Hennig out of Edmonton, Alberta, and Team Duncan out of a variety of curling clubs. Team Duncan curls out of the Sexsmith Curling Club, the Rocky Mountain House Curling Club, and the North Hill Curling Club in Calgary. So from all over, they've been curling throughout the season on various teams, in various fields on the Alberta Curling Tour on the U18 and U20 side. And they have met each other once here already in the U18 Provincials. Based on the route to the semifinal, Team Hennig has started with the hammer, being the team that lost the 1-2 playoff game last night. Team Duncan was successful last night in their 3-4 playoff game. So Hennig had their chance to book their ticket to the Nationals last night. Unfortunately, they didn't get that done, and now they have chance number 2. The winner of this game not only gets into the championship final this afternoon, but they also receive a berth as Alberta number 1 or Alberta number 2 at our U18 national event. So a ton on the line here. Rhett, I know you're still curling in the U20 division, and this would still apply to the U20s as there are 2 berths available there into the national event. If you were playing this semifinal game, you know, how much meaning kind of goes behind the semifinal?
Well, there's a lot of meaning behind this semifinal game because it's kind of that difference. Like you said, we have 2 berths into nationals, and it's that difference of getting that amazing opportunity or not. So these teams are going to have to come prepared and ready to play here on this early morning. So I think we're going to have a really good game ahead of us.
As Team Hennig delivers another stone, we can kind of go through each team's path to get to this semifinal. So we'll start with Team Hennig. Team Hennig, going into the last round robin draw, they had a 3-3 record. Needed that win to get to 4-3 and into the playoffs. And just the way things shook out, their win actually qualified them all the way into that 1-2 game. Team Duncan, also with a 3-3 record going into the last draw, had to win their last round robin game, and that got them into the 3-4. Team Duncan was able to knock off Team Clark in the 3-4 game to reach the semifinal, while Team Hennig was unfortunately on the losing end of their 1-2 page playoff game. The winner of this game will advance to the finals to face Team Lucia. And we're starting with, we were initially starting with some takeouts. We had one flash out of the lead from Team Hennig, which gave Team Duncan the opportunity to just throw up that center guard, and that was placed perfectly there.
Really like the roll to the wing there. Gives you something that you might be able to use later in the end. Still early end, so you're not pushing hard for it, but there's always options.
Now going through the lineup for each of these teams, we have Team Hennig, Skip Austin Hennig, third, Preston Russell. Second, Matthew Reiniger. And lead, Hugo Chow. For Team Duncan, we have skip Nolan Duncan. Third, Spencer Elsa. Second, Robert Nelson. And lead, Ethan Datema. Oh, and very close. Just misses the run back, but still rolls to that corner guard.
Nice thing about that too is you have a yellow in front of the house, which is there to use if needed.
I don't know if either of the plans for each of these teams was to mix it up in the first end, just seeing that initial rock throwing into the rings and the takeout. But the one flash changed the strategy for both of these teams. Now we're starting to see some guards. And Team Duncan saw an opportunity to put some pressure on to Team Hennig. You know, them coming off of the win last night, they must be feeling great.
I know I had the opportunity this morning to speak to both teams, and they're both nervous. They're yet excited. You know, it's a big game, but they're very excited to have this opportunity to play one another this morning.
As that guard just overcurled, it's leaving Team Hennig an opportunity to take out shot rock here and potentially roll right behind one of these two guards. Great sweep, just rolls a bit too far out into the open.
So I know, let's get an insight here from both of you guys. When you're in a semifinal, how are you keeping your focus through, you know, in this case, all 8 ends? How are you, you know, not being overly excited by a great shot or not being, you know, let down by a bad shot here? How do you guys keep your focus in a big game like this? I'll start with Rhett.
Well, you know, in big games like this, I tend to take it one shot at a time. For my team at the skip position, you can't really let yourself get too into the big shots or the shots you might have liked to make and maybe didn't go your way. So I really focus on taking it one shot at a time, thinking shots ahead as I'm calling, and just trying to keep my head in the game and not too much. Don't try to bring too much emotion into it.
Yeah, that's big. It's important just to treat it like any other game, and you know, it's a lot harder to do when you know, the end result gets a little bit closer, and you know, there's a potential for a big shot here or there. As we'll see, some of the skips might have a shot for 2 or 3, or a shot against 3 or 4, where you know, they're gonna have to put it all in the line to make the shot. At that point, that's when you might see the pressure come in. But I think in general, once the game gets going, it's all the same. It's all curling, and you know, you just try to make it work the best you can with the skills that you have.
I don't know about you, Jason, but I know in the games I've played, after a couple of rocks, you kind of tend to settle in, and the nerves, they're still there, but they aren't as strong. All these teams have done a lot of practice and a lot of mental training for these situations, and I know as we get this first end underway, they're going to be ready, prepared, and focused.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing there is preparation. You know, if a team is prepared for a game and they've done all they can, well, then they should be, you know, as ready for the big moment as they can be. And you know, based on past successes, just doing it in practice, just working really hard to get to this point, that should at least help calm the nerves a little bit. As we had our first, I want to say big mistake, but first mistake out of Team Duncan there. It opens the door a bit for Team Hennig with that hit and roll out.
The nice thing for Team Duncan is they do have options if this shot is made. They've left those two shooters from earlier in the end in front of the rings, giving them a little bit of control. Looks like we're going to have a timeout here. What do you think is going to come of this, Jason?
It's interesting. The interaction was called by Team Hennig, and the coach is discussing with the third, but not the skip. It looks like it's just maybe just a bit of advice on either where to put the broom or potential line calling, I guess. Interesting that the skip wasn't involved in that interaction.
It also brings up a great advantage of the enhanced coaching, whereas they might not call a timeout like that for say a shot or what to call, but also just little reminders that younger teams or U18 teams might forget. So it's one of the reasons I really like that enhanced coaching during games like these especially.
As this rock just slips about a foot deep, just behind the tee line. Not ideal for Team Hennig, as it gives Team Duncan a chance to just draw right up to it and get the force, but it is half buried, so it would be a little bit problematic for Team Duncan to try to remove the stone. Looks like Nolan is elected to just play the draw.
Really like the draw call, as it's something Nolan's going to be comfortable in. Pre-game practice, all these teams are going to find their paths, especially their draw path, so shouldn't be a lot of danger with a shot like this.
As it comes into the house, this one's hanging pretty well. It's on the corner guard at the moment, and it does just wreck on that corner guard and doesn't go into the house. Team Hennig will have an open draw to the rings for 2 points to start this game. So a fortunate break there for Team Hennig, as it looked like Team Duncan had control of the end, all end there in end number one after the miss from lead stones. The door swung open and Austin walked right through it. This is a draw for two.
Just goes to show that no end is done until the last rock. Teams at this level here at the semifinal, you can't give them a chance because they're going to take it. And two's a big number to put up in a first end.
And great sweep there from Hugo Chow to draw right into the rings. Looks like it's touching the button. And that'll be a score of 2 points for Team Hennig. They'll take a 2-0 lead into the second end. We'll be back.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
Welcome back to the Leduc Curling Club. We're in second end action of our semi-final match in the U18 boys division. Team Hennig scored 2 points in end number 1. They're throwing the yellow rocks. They're competing against Team Duncan, throwing the red rocks with the last rock advantage here in end number 2. I'm Jason Ginter here with Rhett, Mallioux, and Raymond Vanstone here commentating this morning.
I'll give a quick update here, gentlemen, on the girls semifinal. Elena Yurko stole one against Delilah Cooey, so she is currently up 1-0, and they are entering end number 2. So another big game on the women's side here. So I do got a question for you guys here. So if you're Team Duncan, we talked about like how key is it to keep that resolve, keep communicating with the team, right? I think communication is going to be a big thing with Team Duncan is, and number 1 might not have gone your way, but keep that resolve and keep communicating, right? You still got 7 ends to play.
And that's just the thing, is you have the rest of the game ahead of you. Like, you can't get too upset about it, but you also have to realize that the momentum is going to be going a little bit towards the Hennig team. You got to keep up your communication, keep up your intensity, and go and try to work your way back.
Yeah, it is a long game. 8 ends. You only have 7 more ends left. You gave up 2 in the first. That's not ideal, but they had control of the end up until Skip Stones. I think they can take a lot of positives from that first end. And actually, just listening to your interview with them yesterday, Raymond, it seemed like communication was one of their key points going into the semifinal. They thought that they did that really well in the 3-4 game. So if I'm them, I'm just looking upon my strengths. If communication is one of my strengths, maybe I lean on that a little bit more. Maybe we talk a little bit more, talk through it. Really, the main miss there was obviously the draw that wrecked on the corner guard. So it might be in an ice reading aspect that maybe the coach could assist with as well. So not only communicating between the players, but also using those coach interactions and the ability to talk to your coach between ends might be a key point there too.
Yeah, another thing you have to watch with early games, at least our team has found that early games tend to have a little bit straighter of ice as the ice is breaking in. It's been sitting all night. I don't know, Jason, if your team has had the same struggles with early games, but it's one thing I know for sure we have noticed on our U20 tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the ice definitely takes a little while to break in, and you might see some changes between ends as certain paths get played. The speed of the ice might be different too. So that communication plays a huge part into the team, just knowing what each path is going to do, and so you're setting each thrower up for success. As we see the rocks started in the rings for Team Hennig, kind of staying with that defensive mindset. The corner guard went up for Team Duncan as they look to score their 2 back. We have Robert Nelson here throwing second stones for Team Duncan. I know him quite well. He curls out of the Sexsmith Curling Club. Looks like it just rolls too far. It gives Team Hennig a chance just to walk up and peel that guard if they wish to. Now you're in a semifinal game, Rhett. You have the chance here to potentially get the force on and take the hammer into the third. What do you think Austin's thinking about here playing this peel?
Well, you know what? He's wanting to keep it a little clean, make sure he's not going to have any hard shots, because this is the second end. The ice is still breaking in. You're still calming down a little bit of the nerves. Also, he's just scored a 2, so he doesn't have a lot of pressure. He has a little bit of control in this end. So I think he's just still going to keep it nice and clean and try to keep it a little simpler at the start of this game.
I think just coming off of a tough match last night as well, maybe he wants to take a little bit more time to get his feet under him, knowing that Team Duncan, their 3-4 game went really well. I think it was a 10-1 score. So just not giving them that opportunity early, that might be part of the game plan that Coach Chris Power laid out for Team Hennig. Now, Team Hennig, this lineup isn't their typical lineup throughout the season, is it?
No. So they are actually a U20 team that we play against on the regular. But for the U18, they have brought on Hugo Chow, who also plays for our team, to try and have one more chance at a national spot this year.
Yeah, I work with Team Shannon a little bit throughout the year. They're in the Salvo Sports Center's competitive edge and technical edge programs, at least a couple of them. So I'm pretty familiar with Kieran, Austin, and Preston specifically. I'm sure Kieran's watching, cheering his team on, knowing that this is going to help the development of his team too. So the peel went up, the hit and roll has happened, and we're trading rocks in the house. This is looking like we're trending towards blank end. Raymond, do you have any updates for us on the other game?
It looks like the second end is still going on here. Close matchup. Nothing really in the house. They're looking to get set up here, but I think in a few minutes here we'll have a final second end score in the girls' game.
Okay. So Raymond, while we have you here, you've been doing a lot of the social media production for the U18 Provincials. This is something that's been new this year. We haven't done the media day in the past. You might have seen pictures on our Curling Alberta Facebook and Instagram that shows a little bit more personality from some of the teams. What kind of reception have you got from some of these teams with this extra bonus of having a little bit of star power in the U18?
I think a lot of teams have gravitated towards it, if I'm being quite honest. I think it's a fun thing for the teams. I think there's a lot of nerves involved, right? But I think they nerves go away after the first day, and they love it. And you get a lot of good answers. You get to learn kind of the mindset of some of these. You brought up Team Duncan's interview from yesterday, stressing communication, right? And Austin on Team Hennig was phenomenal. He's like a pro on the mic. So I think they've gravitated towards it. They've loved it. I know the parents have loved it as well. So I think we're gonna keep doing it at some of our events here and just keep going with it. I think it's good to get some of these athletes shown and get their star power shown, because these are all very talented athletes.
Yeah, it goes into a couple of things. I think you've seen it also on the Grand Slam of curling now with the Grand Slams, trying to show the personality of the athletes a little bit more. You saw the camera on the ice a couple times. You want to. You have the karaoke. You just want to get the athletes as involved as you can and show your talent. And I think this is a really cool opportunity for some of these kids to see that. And if anybody's watching that isn't curling, it's showing that hey, curling's really fun, and it's a sport that you can have success at, and if you work hard, you can get to this type of championship and have a lot of fun. As Austin Hennig makes a nice hit and roll towards the center there.
I do want to add to that, after talking with a lot of the players throughout the week here at the Provincials, many of them agree that it's an experience like no others, having a packed crowd up top at the upper level here at Leduc. A lot of them are just taking it in and loving it. Raymond with the media and everything, seeing their faces on the Curling Alberta page and everything. It's, like I said, it's an experience like no other for these teams. And like you said, Jason, curling is one of those games that's a ton of fun and you meet a lot of people. So I'm sure if there's anyone watching that isn't already a curler, anyone they could come ask here would say the same.
And as the second end starts to wind down, we have our last rock approaching here from Austin Hennig. He is attempting a hit and roll out to put zeros on the board and blank end number 2.
I think we might actually be going for just a hit and stay here, as Duncan does have the last stone, just to try and force Nolan to hit and roll out. And you never know, you see the miss in the last end, you might get a miss and add another to your score.
Look at you, I'm getting ahead of myself here, being indulged with the conversation, having too much fun on my own. So he does hit and roll out. I must have put the commentator's curse right on him. And Team Duncan here now, they have the last rock. They will attempt to throw the blank attempt now. And now with no rocks in the house, it looks like they'll just try to learn a piece of the ice here, throw enough weight to get the rock out of the rings, but try to learn something as well.
No, I like what Nolan's doing here. A lot of teams you'll see will just whip one down the ice, but he's going to throw a nice controlled weight just to have a really good idea what the ice is doing. You don't get to see an inside-out shot like that a lot, so having this opportunity will give him a little bit of knowledge that he might not have seen otherwise.
And there you have it, blank end number 2. Team Duncan will take his hammer and bring it into the third end when we come back.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
And we're back here, end number 3 action at the U18 Provincial Championship semi-final. I'm Jason Ginter here with Rhett Mallioux and Raymond Vanstone here to commentate this morning. Our first 2 ends, we had Team Hennig with a deuce in the first end with the hammer, followed by a blank from Team Duncan. So Team Duncan carries the hammer and the red rocks into end number 3. We have Team Hennig throwing the yellow stones. What have you seen so far, Rhett, out of the first 2 ends out of both of these teams?
Well, I've seen a lot of game knowledge here. They're taking those first 2 ends just to kind of settle in, and we haven't seen a ton of misses. We've seen one in the first end there that cost the Duncan team a little bit, and then last end we had Hennig roll out, which gave Nolan that easy throw for the blank. But so far I'm very impressed with what I've seen both teams. They've gotten to know the ice all week and are kind of settling in and getting comfortable for this semifinal game.
And just like we saw in end number 2, Team Hennig started with the rock into the rings. This time, Hugo Chow with the perfect draw to the forefoot, followed by a corner guard from Team Duncan. So Team Duncan down by 2. They're going to look to score 2 this end, try to put a multiple on the board, get right back into this game.
And we can see a little confidence here by Team Hennig. They're going to go right there for the guard. Not playing it safe anymore, trying to put a little more pressure onto Nolan and them. Looks like this rock's going to hang out a little bit, but...
Yeah, this is what I'm calling line, and if it's hanging out that far, I would say line is heavy. This one just slips into the back of the 8-foot. It's giving Team Duncan a chance to hit this rock. However, they've chosen to ignore and just go right around the corner guard, seeing this as an opportunity. We have Ethan Datema from Rocky Mountain House Curling Club throwing lead stones for Team Duncan. So, Rhett, this is a team that's obviously been constructed for this event, U18 Provincials, coming from all over the province. We have players from Calgary, players from Rocky Mountain House, and a player from Sexsmith. Now, this is something that we've seen quite often in the men's and women's division, where players are kind of thrown from all over the province, and you have the import rule. We're starting to see this a little bit more in the U20 and U18 divisions. Have you seen that trend? And I mean, how do you form your team at the U20 level?
Yeah, I've seen the trend really starting. All the teams here, they're trying to be the best as they can be. The level of play has really grown over the years in the U18 level especially. I know personally our team has brought on a member that's originally from the Yukon that has moved here to Alberta, and it's to try to become the best you can. All these athletes have put so much effort and time into this game and trying to be the top teams that it's really exciting to see the level of play grow at the U18, the U20, and all over the curling scene.
I know from personal experience back when I was in U20s and U18 divisions, I think it was called the juvenile division and the junior division at that time. That's dating me a little bit, but we were fortunate we had enough players in our region that we could just have a team from our region up in Dawson Creek, BC. Now, we have a player from Sexsmith that he might not have had another 3 players in his region to form a competitive U18 team. So it's nice that he has the option, but also it kind of just goes to show that maybe we have some work to do in some of those regions to increase participation numbers.
Yeah, I'm coming from a rural area myself. It is sometimes hard to find 4 players that want to play at a higher level, or even in cases like up in Sexsmith, it's hard to find 4 players just to play at all. So it's really nice to see these guys come together and form teams from all over, especially with the skill of Robert here that is from Sexsmith.
Yeah, I think their first time together, at least one of their first times together, was at the Alberta Rock summer camps just this summer here in the Leduc Curling Club at the Leduc Rec Center. I remember they were the team shorts, this team. They played all of their competitions. Usually we have one game in the evening where they'll be able to play against somebody within their own age group. And they chose to play their games wearing shorts. I know it was summertime, so maybe that was just a nice little cool down for them. But yeah, they had a lot of fun, a lot of success, and I think that a camp like that to start a season, it'll loosen the team up. It'll get that sense of camaraderie between teammates, but also between competitors against each other. And I think that Team Duncan, they've been regulars there. It's nice to see them back here in the Leduc Rec Center playing in something very important here this morning in the semifinals.
You know, it's one thing that I found has kind of stood out for Team Duncan being here this week during the provincials. After they get off the ice for game, no matter what, there's smiles on faces and they're always talking. I know they've been talking a lot with Raymond. You've had a lot of conversations with them this weekend. Can you talk to that about their positivity? And they're just fun people to be around.
Yeah, I think both teams are, if I'm being quite honest. They're both off the ice. I guess no matter the result, they're smiling and they're chatting, you know. And I think it's a good thing to always stay positive, you know, whether a game goes your way or doesn't go your way. It's always nice to just get off the ice and have a smile on face and maybe talk to that parent or that fan or just have someone there so you can remind themselves it's just a game. And I'll quickly chime in here with a score update. Team Lilac scored 2 in end number 2, so they are now up 2-1 in end number 3. So close matchup there, just like over on our sheet here.
And there we have a nice hit and roll over towards the other yellow stone. Although it isn't shot rock, it is closer and leaves Team Duncan a chance for a double later in the end. Now, that was a really good point, you know, Raymond, with Team Duncan especially. You know, earlier in the week, they were sitting at 1-3 earlier in the week after day 2. It'd be pretty easy at that time to, you know, put your head down and say, okay, well, maybe this isn't our year. And you know, and then things might go from bad to worse. Having that positive attitude, even in you know, a moment like that where you just lost a close game to our team, I guess that's in the final, to move down to 1-3. You know, it's mental resilience and the ability to stay positive in those instances that, you know, helps a team like Team Duncan go from 1-3. Win their last 3 games to get into the playoffs, and now that positive train is a rolling, and you saw that in the 3-4 game last night.
Something you find with any competitive sports is the team morale and the attitudes of the player plays so much into, especially these high intensity games where there's a lot on the line. Jason, is there something you've done with your team this year to make sure you're keeping that morale high and having lots of fun on the ice, although you're trying to be competitive?
For sure, yeah. We're trying to be as positive as we can. You know, our season has gone about as well as we can without winning any playoff games. So, you know, that's something that our team has shown to, I guess, look to improve. But off the ice, it's really important to be positive and friendly, and you know, you have that camaraderie. I'm pretty fortunate I'm playing with 3 of my best friends. Not everybody can say that they can do that, but even if you're not, you know, super friendly off the ice, staying positive and just knowing that, you know, the next game is an opportunity rather than, you know, just dreading the next game, I think is really important. And we see Team Hennig here. They had the exact same road as Team Duncan. They started 1-3 as well, won their last 3 round robin games to get into that 1 versus 2 page playoff. Pretty unique scenario. Usually you don't see that in an 8-team round robin where 4-3 gets you that type of opportunity. So you know, both teams have shown their resilience, knowing that, you know, 1-3 doesn't mean you're eliminated. 1-3 is just as much of a chance to get to that 1-2 game as anyone else. So, yeah, pretty cool to see both of these teams bear down and get to where they are now.
And speaking to Austin, especially, he was saying that after that, getting to 1-3, he kind of reminded the team, hey guys, like, there's still a chance here. You know, we gotta win out, but there's a chance here. So let's keep at it, keep the positive attitude going, and let's get some momentum. And you could kind of tell right after then they win to make it 2-3. Now the belief goes up, I think, after a win like that, as you start believing that you're 1 game away from the playoffs.
Yeah, and you'd have to think with Team Hennig specifically, Austin not playing a bunch of the skip position, as many games as he can get, he's going to continually get better. Right? He's going to expose himself to some of those higher pressure situations. The more he's going to be able to play those high pressure shots, the better he'll get. And then, who knows what's going to happen. And all of a sudden now he's in the semifinals. So, yeah, pretty cool opportunity for any young team to be where both of these teams are right now.
So a nice draw from Austin there. Jason, what do you like here? Because you want to make sure that you're not getting forced. You want to try and make sure you get that deuce with your hammer. And he has 2 shots left. I believe he's calling a little bit of a hit and roll closer to the other yellow there to hopefully bunch up some stones. But if you're in this situation, what are you guys doing?
I think if you're playing the hit here, I think you're expecting or hoping, I guess, Team Hennig hits and rolls out to give you the blank attempt. So there's always that option. I think 2 is essentially off the table by playing this shot, knowing that you say, you hit and roll behind or hit and roll over that direction, it's still going to be an open hit. I think I would be more inclined to just try to draw, throw a freeze attempt at shot rock, knowing that both of those rocks were behind the tee, and force the issue a bit. If you're going to be forced, you might as well be forced too.
The nice thing about that draw too is if you come up a little bit light, that stone is still there, so your 2 is still in play. Plus, with an end as open as this, you're always going to have a shot to the 4-foot, so you can take that little bit of a risk, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I think to your point, for sure, if it doesn't work out, you're still going to be in the same situation as this hit. It's a strategy to limit the amount of rocks you're potentially throwing against. So, let's say Team Duncan threw a light draw and it was a guard. Now all of a sudden they're drawing against 3 and some of them might be buried. So it was a conservative play. It's not necessarily the wrong call. It'd be a bit of a preference, but early in the game, I don't mind it. Late in the game, I definitely would have played the draw. And it looks like Nolan knew something we didn't as Team Hennig rolled out of the rings. And it's leaving Team Duncan a chance to blank end number 3.
I really like what you said about not having a wrong call there. One thing I've learned from even just watching the Provincials this weekend is a lot of these teams are very, very smart at what they're doing. The strategy is there this weekend, and it's cool to see the different ways that different teams will play things. And again, there's, like you said, there's no right call to anything. There's it all depends what the next team throws and what you leave.
Mm-hmm. And here we are, last rock of end number 3, Nolan Duncan. Intern blank attempt. The sweep is on. They're going hard for line. Great sweep from Robert, and that'll be a blank. So Team Duncan again takes the hammer all the way into end number 4. Score 2-0 for Team Hennig.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston Pizza at home.
And we are back live from the Leduc Curling Club, fourth end action of U18 boys. Semi-final action here at the U18 Provincial Championships. Team Hennig 2, Team Duncan 0, and Team Duncan throwing the Redstones. They'll take the hammer into end number 4. Now Raymond has a bit of an update here on our other game in action this morning.
Yep, end 3 between Lila Kui and Elena Yurko. They blanked the third end, so just entering the fourth end here. So that's a very close game. I know they've played each other a lot this year, so I think that's going to come down to the wire.
Definitely, yeah. And so speaking of playing each other before, obviously these two teams have played each other this week. In our round robin action, everyone gets to play everyone. And it was a 7-4 decision for Team Hennig in round robin play, but it was extra end. So these two teams very evenly matched. They have the same record in the round robin. That head-to-head win was what separated them from the 1-2 game and the 3-4 game. So about as evenly matched as we can get here. I would expect a similar type game where we're going to be close all the way through.
So I guess one question I have for both of you guys is when you've, you could say a season long, but in a week where you kind of play the same team, how do you, if your Team Duncan, bounce back from that loss against Team Hennig, or if your Team Hennig just, carry that momentum from that win, right? Is that something you would say is just tell your team, like, we've beat them once, we could beat them again, right?
Well, there's a sense of familiarity, right? Like I always find that I'm a little more nervous against a team that I haven't played before, even if on paper maybe we should win, rather than maybe someone that's more evenly matched, but you've played them a few times and you know what to expect. So, this isn't, Team Hennig isn't a team that has played a lot on tour, knowing that, and especially Austin at the skip position. So a little bit less familiarity than maybe some of these teams in this event, but playing them once already, they both know what to expect. Maybe this game plan is a bit different than the round robin, but they at least have shown that they can compete with this team. Either one of them, playing the extra end. Maybe they say, if you're Team Duncan, we had a really tough 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever end it was. And if we just didn't do that, maybe we would have won that game. So there's a sense of confidence there that they can take into this game. If you're Hennig, you already shown that you can beat this team. And Team Duncan, obviously one of the top U18 teams in the province. So a lot of confidence can be created from that game as well.
And the thing is, although it might not be the same lineup, a lot of these teams are playing each other on the tour throughout the year. So like you said, they're getting that familiarity. And Hennig's going to know that although they came on top in that round robin game, that Duncan is not a team. You have to give them some respect. They are a good team, and you never know when anyone's going to peak or have a great game. So you're always on your toes no matter who you're playing.
I just did a quick scan of our U20 circuit, and I don't know if Team Shannon and Team Duncan have actually played in the same event, so this might be the only time they have been exposed to each other. It's just at this event. And here we are, Team Hennig, continuing with that defensive mindset, throwing rocks into the rings. It's pretty hard to score if the path to the button is covered. So, and pretty easy to take a rock out if it's the only one in the rings. So far so good, I think, for Team Hennig with this defensive mindset. They've been able to negate the corner guard in end number 2 and end number 3. Oftentimes, the key to negating the corner guard is keeping your rocks around the center and forcing play to the middle. Obviously, in that strategy, if you're playing the hit and stick, you want to make sure that you stick. Any chance of going around the corner, I think Team Duncan will. As you see here, they're attempting to make the hit and roll towards the corner. This one's taking its time curling. And it will also roll all the way out. And I think I've seen this picture before. As Austin is walking up towards the corner guard, we might be heading back to a place that one of my teammates likes to say. I'm not going to use it. That's his term. But yeah, I think if anybody's listened to Darren Molding before, you know where we're headed.
I do have to say early on, I am very much liking the communication of both teams. You know, pre-shot, after shot, they're very much still. There's still the communications flowing easily with both teams, and I think in a semifinal that is very close. That's key. So I think that's a very good thing that both teams are doing well here early on.
And they are successful in making that peel. And here we go again. We're playing the takeout in the back of the house. So both teams very cautious, I would say, to start this game. I wasn't able to watch the round robin game, so I don't know if this was the same strategy. Just looking at their line score, there was only one blank end, and that was the first. So maybe it's just something to do with that grand prize that's on the line today, that they're just making sure that they're a little more cautious today.
Well, and here in Alberta, we are fortunate enough to have not one but two berths to the Nationals. So that just makes this semifinal game that little bit more important. There's a little bit of you get a little comfortable in our final game with those two berths. Of course, you want to come up on top, but you're already having a berth into the Nationals. But something about this semifinal game, it's a big deal for both of these teams.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a little bit more important. I would say it's a lot more important now that we do have those two berths to Nationals. I know in the past we've had a lot of conversation on, especially within Curling Alberta and the Curling Alberta competition working group, discussing how exactly we want to award that berth to Nationals, that number 2 berth. Obviously, the number 1 berth will go to the team that wins the provincials. In the past, we've had a couple of different ways. Obviously, the one that we've chosen this year is the team that loses the final will be Alberta number 2. And we've also had a team that's placed highest on the Alberta Tour within the division. So this would be the U18 Tour would be the team that we would send to Nationals. And second on that list would go if first won the provincials. So pros and cons to both. I think that our competitions working group decided that teams will be attempting to peak for this premier championship, and we want to put some importance to this U18 provincials. And based on feedback that we received from the teams, they also like this a little bit more than maybe the tour.
And from playing in a U18 provincials myself last year, I can say that, as you've heard, a lot of the teams prefer this way because it allows you to take your time throughout the season to focus on some technical, some tactical, and try to be the best team you can. You're not just playing a bunch of events to try to win a points race, and it brings a higher level of competition to the provincials, which is great to watch, and it really shows how good our teams here in Alberta can be.
Yeah, and obviously decisions, there's two sides to every coin, and for a team like Team Lushik, who had dominated the U18 tour and the U20 tour, they've been winning almost everything this year. And for them, if they were to have an underperformance here at the U18 nationals, potentially they would, or at the provincials, potentially wouldn't go to the nationals. And so that's just life here in Alberta, and we're fortunate to have the two berths. So it's important to put up when you need to, and make sure that you capitalize on the opportunities when they're presented. And here at the U18 provincials, we have that opportunity.
That's why, as a team coming into provincials, you never want to count yourself out. You never know when teams are going to be at their highest or where they're going to have a little bit of an off weekend. So anything can happen. It's the fun part of the competitive style of sport we have here at the Curling Alberta Provincials.
Yeah, and anything can happen was so true in the first day of competition. I was looking at some of the line scores, and I was seeing big numbers popping off. There were like 6s, there were 7s. I think there was a double extra end on day number 1. We had a team run out of time on day number 1. So, like you said, anything is possible. And I think a lot of those wrinkles were ironed out by day number 2. But it's really nice to see the cream rise to the top, and the cream of the crop rise. And I think that the teams in this semifinal and Team Lushik, who has already booked their ticket to nationals, they'll be great reps to Alberta at the U18 national event. As we see the draw over to the wing, right in front of that rock that's out of the house, the absolute best place for that rock, as it's forcing Team Hennig to at least hit and roll a little bit to avoid the jam.
It's one thing I like to explain to a lot of young curlers and some of the juniors I work with. Although that red rock in the back may not be in the rings, it's still an important stone. It's something that Team Hennig's going to have to watch out for, because they can't hit the stone on the nose. They have to hit it either way to not jam, and it gives you a little less margin for error on a shot like this.
Yeah, this is one of those times when you have to think about tolerance, right? And tolerance is such a buzzword in junior curling, and making sure that you're missing the right way. Obviously, if Austin were to miss this rock, he'd prefer to miss it on the undercurl or the overcurl, by a lot rather than a little, because knowing that if he just rolls out of the rings here, it's going to be a blank end. If he makes the hit and stay, Team Duncan is still going to have a chance at the blank end.
Yeah. And that's something that Austin's going to have a talk with. Him and Preston are going to have a talk about. You don't want to get caught in the middle. You want to make sure you're missing that back stone. So you're going to play it. You're not going to be picky. You're going to be a little careful.
And great shot there. Very precise. The showing Austin's dialed in here at number 4 of the semifinal. He made that hit and roll perfect. It's left the blank attempt once more for Team Duncan. He's making him earn it this time, and making that hit and roll out. Taking a look over at the time clocks, it looks like both teams have plenty of time remaining. Last rock and number 4. It's got to go for line. Got to go for contact. And an excellent sweep. No mistake there from Team Duncan. They'll blank end number 4. And we'll go into our 5-minute fourth end break. Team Hennig 2, Team Duncan 0. Duncan will have the hammer when we come back.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
Don't forget your brooms.
You got it!
Come on up. Okay, what else? What do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
Both everyone hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
And
part of it.
we're back here, still in our fourth end break action. After the fourth end, we have Team Hennig 2, Team Duncan 0. I'm Jason Ginter here with Rhett Mallioux and Raymond Van Stone in the booth. Now we've had a relatively conservative game so far through the first four ends with the 3 blanks. Rhett, what were your, keys for the first 4 ends for both of these teams?
Well, I think a big key thing was there in that first end, the first 2 that was put up. Nolan and his team had control for most of that end, and then it just was 2 misses that kind of let the door open a little bit for Austin. At this level of play, teams are going to take that. You can't give them that chance because more times than not, they're going to come in and it's going to bite you.
Mm-hmm. And Team Hennig for sure. They're sticking to the plan, right? They're throwing their first rock in the rings, giving Team Duncan a chance to hit. If Team Duncan ever makes a small error, like a hit and roll out, Austin's very quick to go up and peel that corner guard, get out of the end with a blank, and keep that 2-point lead. Now, going into these last 4 ends, I think if I'm Team Duncan, I'm seeing that strategy and I'm saying, okay, well, we are going to have to force the issue a little bit more, play more draw shots, maybe try to wait 1 or 2 more rocks before we take some of those rocks out in the center. Have a little bit more rocks in play over towards the wing. Leave yourself a chance to use some more stones so that it doesn't end up going back down as a blank end. And then, if I'm Team Hennig going into these last 4 ends, knowing, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You're winning by 2. Your plan has worked, and you haven't had hammer for more than just 1 end. You're without hammer. You haven't had them score a single point. So I would keep things status quo and move into these last 4 ends with that same kind of mindset, knowing that you are in control of this game.
Well, and that's just the thing. People might be listening and wondering, 2 points, is that really that big? But it's the difference between having a cushion in the semifinal game and not. Austin doesn't have to push for anything. He's going to wait for Duncan to put the pressure on. And I agree with you. I think Duncan's going to have to maybe put a little bit more pressure on the gas here and go for it. They have such a good hitting ability, this Duncan team, that they can afford to wait a few rocks before bailing out. And the reality of it is we're in the 5th end and we're running out of ends, so they have to do something soon.
As we begin end number 5 action, we have Lee, Hugo, Chow. It looks like Austin signaled top 4 once more as we approach the 5th end. Now, Rhett, you've curled in the Leduc Curling Club quite a lot over the last year or so. I know that's your home club. Is that right?
Yeah, we kind of, me and the manager here at the Leduc Curling Club kind of joke about it as it's my home away from home. Being from Wainwright, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of competitive play, and you don't get the ice conditions you get here close to the city at Leduc or the Saville or Sherwood. So I've spent a lot of time here in Leduc, and like I said, it's my home away from home, and they treat me like family, and it's a great facility.
Absolutely, and you might be able to give us some insight as to potentially how the ice might change and some of those factors as the game approaches end number 5. I don't know how much action you've been able to watch throughout the week, but what would you look for, I guess, once we approach end number 5 here in Leduc?
Well, from playing in Leduc a lot and talking with Lauren and Kevin, the ice makers, I know that as you get towards that 5th, 6th end, that slide path is going to start. They're going to start slowing down a little bit, and the sweepers are going to have to be on that. Brooms down. Rocks are going to grind a little bit more than they normally would in those first couple of ends. And the other thing that Leduc has is their rocks are nice and lively. You can do a lot with these stones, and it makes for a lot of great shots.
And for those of you at home, wondering what does lively rocks mean? It just means that if you have a few rocks fairly close together, they'll bounce a little bit more than maybe some other rocks might. So not being afraid to throw the big weight and seeing a lot of rocks fly. So if there were a lot of rocks in the house, which we haven't necessarily seen so far this game, there's a chance for some bombs, some big weight hits to move a lot of granite.
And both these teams aren't afraid to throw that big weight. I've seen Nolan throw up to the 6s and the 5s when he's throwing a peel, so they're not afraid to throw it. And I know, looking over, we can see that the girls have gone into their 4th end break. So Raymond, do you have a little bit of an update for us?
Yeah, I do. Here scored 2. So they are now, after the blank in 3, they scored 2 and 4. So they're up 3-2. So a little bit of a barn burner there. And I think we should shout out the general manager of the Leduc Curling Club, who's put on a great provincial here. So it's a great facility here. I know all the athletes are very happy with it as well. So, and they're putting on quite the show.
Right on. So that is Team Yurko 3, Team Kui 2 after the 4th end.
Yeah, they're just heading into their 5th end break, or their 5th end right now. So they're heading into the second half of their game as well. So
right on. I know if you want to catch the action, you can catch, or you could have caught all of the games. You still can watch replays of all of our games on the Curling Alberta and Curling Zone YouTube pages. Curling Stadium Live has been providing us the action all throughout this week. So if you want to catch up, you want to see both of these teams, Team Duncan, Team Hennig, any of their games they've played throughout the week, we have them saved on our YouTube channels. If you want to find the line score of the other game going on this morning, you'll be able to find that line score at curlingalberta.ca/follow the score /competitions/follow the score. And here we go. We got some action now, Rhett. 2 center guards up. Looks like the Team Duncan either had attempted to throw that guard on purpose or just overcurled. And then we had one draw attempt fall short. Needless to say, there will be rocks in play this end. Team Hennig has 1 rock buried behind 3 center guards. And Team Duncan is attempting to draw right behind that center guard that Team Hennig has just thrown.
Now, Jason, I wanted to ask you, because it's a lot of things a lot of teams don't talk about. Duncan here has been going blank after blank after blank, so they're throwing a lot of hits and a lot of upweight shots. How do you come back and kind of get that feel for draw weight again? You've been throwing a lot of upweight, and now you're going to have to throw a little bit of those soft shots because of all the rocks in play.
Yeah, this is when communication comes in, and you might not have had the feel of throwing the draw, but you might have a teammate that did, or you might have a teammate that's taken a lot of hog-to-hog times. It's able to compare to previous games. You might not have all of the tools that you would typically have throwing a lot of draw shots. So maybe less reliance on feel, more reliance on your teammates here. And obviously, Team Duncan, they stress the importance of communication. So this last one just came up short, but you'll probably see Robert talk to his sweepers and say, hey, well, maybe it was a little heavier than I thought there. And then now it's going to give Spencer and then Robert on his second one a chance to adjust.
The one thing I do want to point out is when they came up light on that draw there, Nolan was quick to get his teammates to roll it off a little bit. What that does is it makes that rock usable. So although it's not the outcome you would have liked, it's still a very dangerous stone for Team Hennig, as it's close to the rings and easy to run back, easy to tap.
As the Matthew Reiniger stone just goes by that center guard, but just rolls or just slides all the way back to the back of the 8-foot. So fully buried and over buried by quite a margin now. We're getting lots of curl in the Leduc Curling Club this morning, and however, it is leaving Team Duncan an opportunity to get behind that guard once more. As Robert makes his second attempt around this center guard.
The other thing these teams are going to have to watch is there's a lot of play to the one side of the sheet this end. So if anyone is going to get forced to play the other turn, it's going to be tricky. It's going to turn into a little bit of a guessing game on that side because there's been so many rocks down the right side here as we look at the screen.
And a great sweep from Team Duncan, Ethan Datema and Spencer Elsa. What a fantastic draw. Recovery shot from Robert Nelson. And you can hear the importance in the voice of some of these curlers. They want to make every shot perfect. And Robert urging this sweeper to get that rock to the floor. So what a great shot.
It's an amazing shot, and it's forcing Austin to do something you wouldn't normally do without hammer, kind of open up the center there because he's in a little bit of danger right now. There's those two good red stones that are really helping Nolan in this situation.
This one's just hanging a bit. See if he can make some noise elsewhere in the house. And unfortunately jams it right onto his own stone in the top of the 8-foot. So it appears to be Team Duncan sitting shot rock with Team Hennig sitting second shot rock in the back of the 8-foot.
Seeing that there just shows the importance of placement. I try to explain to a lot of the people I work with is, you know what, just because a stone is your color doesn't mean it's your friend. Having that rock top 8 there for that red stone to catch on might end up hurting Hennig in the end of this end.
And
now,
to your point, the back 8 stone of Team Hennigs isn't exactly helping them either, as it's leaving a potential jam opportunity of that top 4 stone. So, yeah, a lot. Like now we have some rocks in play. It's playing into the hand of Team Duncan a little bit more. As Team Duncan holding last rock.
Yeah, I'm thinking Team Duncan's going to like how this end is playing out. There's reds in some good positions, but they do have to also watch, although that back 8 stone is helping them, if Hennig can make a good shot here, it could also turn into something that hurts them. So it's really important now that we're getting more aggressive and more into the game that these teams' placement on stones is where they want them.
And speaking of placement, that rock is placed perfectly by Spencer Elsa. What a fantastic draw. It didn't just curl around the center guard. It got over-buried. It nudged off of his other stone in the top of the 4. And now Team Duncan is set up for a multiple score.
They've had a couple big back-to-back shots there. So yes. I think that's a big thing coming out of that fourth end break to have a couple big shots here. I feel like probably in the back of their head, Nolan might be thinking, okay, momentum's kind of sitting with us. Let's capitalize on this here.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, Coach Brian Duncan there in the fourth end break had a little talk with the team and said, you know what, hey, this wing stuff just isn't working for us. Let's try to throw some rocks towards the center. We know what that's going to do. Let's learn it and let's get great at it. And they sure have. You see Preston Russell, his second stone of end number 5.
See, and that's one thing that's really important for teams is you kind of take that fourth end break, refuel, have your fourth end snacks. But the other thing is if you have a little bit of momentum, you got to make sure that you carry that momentum through that break. You got to come back to that fifth end with the same energy that you left the fourth end with.
Yeah, easier said than done for sure with that extra break. And depending on the snacks, hey, you might have a little more energy or a little less. I don't think I'd be feeding my team turkey sandwiches at the fourth end.
Popular snack this week, I've seen strawberries and granola bars. So
there we go. You heard it here first. So Russell with a great hit and roll. It might have rolled a little too far. He did avoid the jam at the back, but it rolled to a spot where he doesn't have a lot of access. I guess good news for Preston is that it rolled to a spot that cannot be removed, and it shrunk the scoring area. So really good result from Preston. It's putting some pressure on Team Hennig, however. The rock just slipping to the back of the tee line there from Spencer Elsa.
And we talked about rock placement, and that's one of those things that just slipping that foot and being behind tee line versus above tee line is going to open the door for Austin here on his first stone. If he can make a good one in here, it's going to be hard for Nolan to score one or a multiple.
Now this is when we go back all the way to end number one. Austin Hennig threw his two draws that created his score of 2 in the first end. So he has played this path before. He knows what it's going to do. Now it's just all dependent on his ability to match that speed and his sweeper's ability to manage the rock as it goes down the sheet.
And even looking back into Austin's career, he spent a couple years as a lead, so drawing is something he's going to be very confident with. And even this year, playing as a third, he's used to some of these pressure shots, and you always like to see when your sweepers just clean it. Always is a good feeling.
However, this one does need to curl. It's hanging out a little bit here. It needs to catch at least a piece of the red. Can't afford to bounce on this. He does just bounce about an inch or two over to the left. Looks like it's still wide open for Team Duncan to potentially remove.
Now I see Nolan, he's kind of showing that he wants to hit and roll, but I do like where he puts this ice. It means he's going to play it with a little bit less of a weight. He's going to keep that yellow stone behind, almost as a catcher or a guard. And people might be wondering, I'm saying guard, but it's deep in the house, but stones behind rocks are just as important as stones in front of rocks.
Yeah, I really like this call. You know, you might see the rock wide open and say, okay, we really want to make this takeout for those that have a little less experience. I love this option to still just bump it a foot or a few inches, sit your 3, but also make it harder for Team Hennig to remove your red stone.
The other thing with their last stone, they tried to draw on here, so they're going to have a really good idea of the speed and the ice they're going to have to give.
This one's curling and diving towards the middle and just bumps it an inch or so. Looks like Team Duncan is now sitting at least 2, maybe 3 in the 4-foot. What a great shot from Nolan Duncan. That's 3 or 4 in a row now. Team Duncan making that draw to the middle, showing that they have that draw weight in their back pocket now. They're putting a ton of pressure on Team Hennig. Now just looking at the rocks in the house here, it looks like if Austin can get right to the nose with a little freeze, maybe a tap of about a foot, he'll be able to sit second shot. But a really big pressure shot here from Austin. He's going to need this one. Otherwise, it's going to be 2, maybe 3.
And this is where your confidence to draw as a skip really comes into play. I know a lot of the coaches over the years have hammered it to me that you got to be able to draw as a skip, and it's true because it's a big pressure situation, and he's got to make one good to keep that lead going into the 6th end.
So here we are. The line is, well, they're urging the sweeper to curl it. It needs curl. It might also need some weight.
They do have to watch here because they don't want, that's a good stone, but you have to make sure you're not going to bounce to the side because that opens up a couple shots for Nolan. But from what I can see, I think they got to the face, so they shouldn't have much. Nolan's going to have a tricky shot to get multiple.
That is fantastic. That is a pressure shot. That is Austin Hennig saving his team with a fantastic result. Great sweep in there from Hugo Chow and Matthew Reiniger, making sure that they're able to bump that rock to the back of the 4. It's tough to see exactly who might be the second shot, but based on Nolan Duncan in the house there, it looks like he's trying to promote that rock on the intern side of the sheet, just to nudge it an inch to at least sit second shot.
And I think they're calling on coach involvement here with Brian Duncan, and I think that's a good call from Nolan and his team, just to kind of, like Rhett said, it's a tricky shot here, so let's make sure we get the right play here and nail down what we want to do exactly. No second guessing.
Yeah, at the U18 level, our coach interactions allow the team to interact with their coach once per end. So no risk there from having an extra coach interaction there. They can at least hear from Coach Brian and then, just make sure that they get the call right.
Now, I made the point earlier in the end that a lot of our play has been down, as we're looking at the screen now, the right side of the sheet. So we're having a rock that's going to come down the left side, and without the rocks coming down this side, it's going to be a little bit of a guess on weight, because as ice sits, it tends to slow up a little bit and maybe grab a little more. So Nolan's going to have a lot of communication between his team on managing the shot as it comes down the ice.
So here we are, Nolan Duncan, last rock of the 5th end. Looks like a soft weight tap back for multiple. They really need this to go straight for line, and it just wrecks.
Oh, is it going to clip it? Oh.
Just touched that rock just in front of the house, just enough to miss the other rocks in the house. It is 1 for sure. It looks like they're looking at the others. And from this vantage point, it could be anything. Yeah. So we'll keep you updated. They may measure, they may not.
No, it looks like no measure. Oh.
Yeah, just one red it looks like it's going to be.
Just one red. So fantastic last shot from Austin Hennig. All the pressure on the line, everything that, all of the importance of this game. Austin Hennig makes the perfect tap back, forces Team Duncan to 1 point, and we'll go to commercial break. We'll come back for the 6th.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
And we're back at number 6. I'm Jason Ginter, joined by Rhett Mallioux and Raymond Van Stone in the booth at the Leduc Curling Club. We're live with semifinal action at the U18 Provincial Championships. Team Hennig with an absolute game saver draw at the end of end number 5 to save the team from allowing potentially 2, 3, even 4 red rocks to score at the end. It left not much for Team Duncan, but a force. So we have a 2-1 score. Team Hennig has the lead and the hammer as they look to keep control of this game in the 6th.
Yeah, that's a big advantage to be up and with the hammer, especially in the 6th then. There's a lot of talk of liking to have the hammer into the evens, and I'm sure Austin's going to be happy about the situation so far.
So here we are, a bit of a change in tactics for both of these teams now that Team Duncan does not have last rock. Team Duncan started with the draw or with a guard on the center line. Looks like he is asked his lead Ethan to throw another one, which is, I think a pretty important call. You know, if you throw one in the rings, if you end up having a rollout here or there, and all of a sudden we're going back to a blank end. I think
Jason, if I
they're
could chime in
attempting to
here.
get that rock just over the hog line as another center guard.
Yeah.
There we
So
are.
the
Raymond?
it looks
Yeah, got a score update here. Elena Yurko scored 1 in the 5th end, so she is currently up 4-2 as they head into end 6. So they're heading into that back half of the game, and looks like Team Yurko is I would say kind of somewhat in the driver's seat, but it's still kind of anyone's ball game there. I know. Just catching a quick look, both Glenn Ector and Atina Ford Johnson, their coaches, are just telling the teams, stay level-headed. 3 ends left to play, anybody's game.
It looks like Austin's going to come to the middle here. Being the advantage he has one up with hammer, I'm a little surprised he didn't do that on his first shot. You have a little bit of that cushion again, and looks like this rock's going to hang out, but do you have any thoughts on that, Jason? You're one up with hammer. I know I personally wouldn't go straight to the corner on my first shot, but is there something or some situation where you might?
I think that with Team Duncan throwing that center guard, I think, Austin Hennig has shown that he is not really wanting to mix it up for most of the game. Just that last end, he kind of got forced into it. It's shown that he's wanting to play defensive. Throwing that winger, I think, kind of just played his game plan more than anything. I don't know if he was necessarily expecting Team Duncan to throw the second center guard. So, if Team Duncan threw the draw around, maybe he has a chance to chase it. A blank here is really good for him. Score here is good for him, but he just wants to make sure he doesn't want to give up a steal. Maybe his thought was, hey, if I draw around the center and we come short, we leave another guard for the opposition, or if we come deep, we leave them something to draw onto. So less risk, I guess, for Team Hennig would be my thought.
And like you just said, Austin's not looking to mix it up here, so we see him calling for this peel. Having those 2 guards a little bit staggered is going to allow Matthew to have a chance here to get both of them going.
Absolutely. If he's fortunate enough, he might even be able to make noise on that other red rock in the house. And just jams that rock on the center line. Not what Matthew wanted. However, he does eliminate one of the red stones.
So we talked early on about, the mindset going into the early ends of a semifinal. So for both of you, you're for both teams, what are your thoughts on, like, how would you guys feel if you're in both of the skips positions here heading into the, I guess, the last three ends of a provincial semifinal? And it's big, right? You got that national berth on the line in this game.
You know, if I'm Nolan here, I'm not too worried just yet. You are down without, but you have, it's only 1 point away, and you have these, well, 2 ends after this to work with. You do have to put a little bit more pressure on the gas and try to get those points, but you still have time. If I'm Austin Hennig here, I'm happy. I would have that little cushion. I'm one up with Hammer. I could keep things clean and simple, and don't have a lot of pressure so far.
Yeah, I think with Team Duncan, you really want to force the issue here. A steal gets you right back in the game. Even if you give up 1 point, that's not the end of the world. You're down by 2. But obviously, you really don't want that deuce against. So playing with some aggression, I think is important. You saw that with the 2 center guards up, and playing rocks to the middle. Just seeing their success with it last end. I think that, hey, let's play to our strengths. Team Duncan has made a few draws to the middle now. If it wasn't for Austin's last rock, they could have scored 3 or 4. So, yeah, keep that momentum going, knowing they had a great end. Let's see if we can get another rock or 2 around a center guard and force Austin into making another tough one.
Now, kind of like the last end, that yellow rock that slid to the back of the house is going to be a little tricky for Austin and his team because it acts again as another guard behind a stone and maybe a catcher. Austin's trying to keep it a little bit simple and clean here, so he's going to want to make sure to watch out for that stone.
I heard RB shot, so they might have had a change in thought if they were shot rock, potentially switching gears and drawing around those reds. Since they're not shot, they're going to try to clear the center.
Even if you were shot, I think I'd still like this call, as, like I keep saying, you have that cushion of one up and with Hammer. You don't want to mix it up too much.
They'll just clear the one center guard out of play. Team Duncan lying shot rock with one other center guard. Looks like they may have just picked the red center guard once. Now everything's pretty tight to the house. Even if Team Duncan makes this draw, now those 2 reds are very accessible for a double takeout. Here we are, Spencer Elsa throwing a draw. He just through this path. He should have a pretty good feel for draw weight now.
You know, although those rocks are close to the house, there is a little bit of a benefit with them being staggered. It at least gives Nolan that one rock, as Austin's going to have to get rid of that stagger. So there is a positive to it, but they would have liked those rocks to maybe be a little bit higher and act as more of a guard.
Yeah, really good result there. As you saw, the sweepers were urging that rock to get farther to the tee line, just leaving a little more separation from these 2 center guards, knowing that top 12 rock is second shot. It is acting as a guard. The farther away, the harder it is to make all of these rocks fly. So we'll see. This might be Preston's one and only chance to get these rocks moving. Now with big weight, we saw a bit of an outward release there, and he just removes the center guard. So not what Preston Russell was looking for there. He was hoping to clear at least 2. Now Team Duncan has to make a decision. Do they want to guard shot stone, leaving potentially one forcing one of those rocks to be exposed, or do they want to just loop another one around?
That's one thing I've learned curling in Leduc as much as I want. Although you get nice curl, you get lots of curl, it does tell on you with releases. If you have that little bit of an in-out, your rock's going to run pretty straight, maybe even fall a little bit. So it really rewards the nice, crisp, and clean releases of teams.
Here we are, Nolan Duncan, first rock of the 6th end. Trying to draw all the way to the button here to set up a steal attempt. And it just comes up short. So it looked like Robert Nelson was on that the whole way. Wasn't being helped by lead Ethan Datema as much. So it might have just caught the sweepers off guard a bit. Like you said, this might be the time of the game where the ice starts to break down a bit. The speed might change. That was a spot of the ice they hadn't played a lot. So just got caught a bit. And that rock just ended up a few feet short of where they intended.
The other thing the teams are going to have to keep in mind in these late ends is that slide path. As the game goes on, all the players are sliding over the one spot in the ice, and it tends to wear the pebble down a little more, as you'd see in the other part of the sheets. So rocks that go through there are going to grab a little more, slow up, and maybe go a little more sideways as they would before. Jason, is there anything that your team has done in moments like this where that slide path has started to wear down just to make sure that you're keeping rocks running good?
Absolutely. Yeah. A couple of things. I think number one, you want to just make sure that the thrower makes that adjustment, and we try to quantify it in terms of distance. So, hey, I want you to throw this one 3 feet more than you did in the first end would be a good example. And some ice surfaces, it's different. So you might say 4, 6, 9, 10 feet different than it was. But it's important to at least give them something, and also important that you're right. So usually the front end, they do a good job of communicating between each other and decide on that number to give the skip in this case. So great double there from Austin Hennig. It's forced Team Duncan to make a decision now. That rock in the back 12 is buried, and it would be I would say inappropriate of Team Duncan to try to remove the stone now, with a chance of removing their own in the process. So it looks like they're just trying to draw around to the back 8 to get the force, or potentially guard with that ice.
And you know what? If I'm Nolan here, I'm not too sad if we force and give the other team one, because it's going to give us hammer going into those later ends.
So this one's coming down into the back of the 8-foot. It needs to hit the brakes to sit for second shot, and it slides all the way through. So unforced error there from Nolan Duncan. So a couple of options there. They chose to draw around to make the freeze. The other option they could have, or one of the other options, they could have just split the house and sat 2 that way. And I guess option number 3, they could have thrown the guard. The guard would give the most opportunity for a steal. This shot rock would be buried. And I think the others would give the best chance at a force. But I was thinking, even if you made that draw and you were off the freeze by even a half rock, it would leave this same shot for 2. Yeah, just an unfortunate miss there from Team Duncan. So here we are, Austin Hennig, last stone of the 6th end. He needs a nice precise hit and stay for his 2 points.
Now Hennig's going to have to keep an eye on that back yellow stone. They want to make sure to miss it just like that so they can get their 2.
Great shot from Austin Hennig. Secures 2 points in the 6th end. He takes a commanding 4-1 lead as we approach end number 7. We'll go to commercial break. We'll see you when we come back.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
And we are back. End number 7 here at the Alberta U18 Provincials. We have Team Hennig versus Team Duncan in the semifinal action this morning. Team Hennig with a big deuce in the 6th end to take a 4-1 lead here in 7. Rhett, what did you think, looking into the end of that 6th end? There were some turning points. I would like to hear your thoughts on just the last call specifically with Team Duncan.
Yeah, so I didn't really like coming to that stone in the back house. I probably personally would have decided between, like you said in that end, splitting the house or guarding. The nice thing about the guard is you're forcing Duncan or Hennig to make a decision on a path that they haven't played a whole bunch, so you're rather going to get a force or a steal out of it, which both outcomes give you a pretty good chance of staying in this game. The force would give you that hammer, and the steal would make it so you were tied up.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Obviously, if Team Duncan were to have made that last shot, they would have still earned the force, and it was an unfortunate miss. But at least with the guard, you have the option to put that one into the house as the miss, and now it's a double for 2 instead of just the 1. So here we go. Regardless of the call, there was 2 put up on the board for Team Hennig. Now Team Duncan is going to have to manufacture a multiple score to get themselves back in the game. So, not so common error there, I guess, for Hugo Chow. He's had pretty good draw weight. If anything, his miss has been heavy. And here we are in the 7th end. They've elected to throw the rock top 4, and he came up short with his first one. So it looked like with that first guard, the Team Duncan tried to draw around and also came up short. So potential changes in ice conditions. Now the players are going to have to adjust. And as we see the Hugo Chow rock go through the rings, it looks like there may have been an over-adjustment. Interesting to see who picks up on it. It's going to leave lend itself to some variability on end results now that we have a difference in speed of ice. Might be exactly what Team Duncan needs.
I'm going to pass it over to Raymond as we have a little bit of an update for the women's draw.
Yes, so Team Yurko with a big steal of 3 in the 6th end. They're heading into 7 and they are up 7-2. So they're in the driver's seat in the last 2 ends of that one. So Team Lila Kui is gonna have to get something going in the 6th or the 7th to get back in this game.
Right, and obviously there's a ton on the line here this morning. The winner of these semifinal matchups, so this one in the boys' side and the one you just updated us on the girls' side, the winner will earn themselves a berth into the U18 championship final here in the provincials, and in doing so, earn themselves a spot as one of the Alberta teams at the U18 nationals in Saskatoon in February. So tons on the line. Looks like Alina Yurko has put herself and her team in the driver's seat to earn that second berth to nationals at least.
Yeah, and they will be winner of that game goes on to play Team Abby DeSormo this afternoon. So Team DeSormo took the 1-2 game, so they will be headed to nationals and joining another team.
Looking back at our game, Team Hennig has just thrown a draw, and it came up a little heavy to the back four. One thing Team Hennig's going to have to watch out is yes, you might be up in the score, but you can't take your foot off the pedal now. Nolan's going to be clawing to get those 3 points back, and any opportunity he gets, he's going to take.
And any rocks, he's going to want to use. So now that the 5-rock free guard zone is over, you can count 5 rocks, actually 6 rocks, that have been thrown this end. Team Hennig can peel and will peel. So they're trying to find their best double peel opportunity here. And it looks like they're trying to hit that rock just by Austin's left foot. First, hit the second rock over towards his right foot and roll off into the corner guard zone or out of play.
Yeah, Austin's going to want to keep as little rocks in play as he can this end. The more rocks in play gives more chances for Nolan to use them to score. Even if they're not his own color, he could use them as backing or as guards. So the less rocks is generally the better when you're trying.
So there we are. We have 2 guards up for Team Hennig now, just jamming that double peel. It's giving Team Duncan a chance to draw right around those, loop one around, and try to secure one close to the button. As we have Robert Nelson throwing his second stone of the end. A big shot here. If he can get this rock around this center guard, gonna force Team Hennig into making a run back or a double peel of some sort to make some noise. This one just comes up a bit short. Grouping some of these guards together. So it looks like Austin Hennig is ushering Preston Russell to make the double peel, hitting the red one first. There is a chance that this yellow rock will slide into the house and hit the red stone that's at the top of the 8 foot. I think Austin's goal here is to have Preston clear these rocks out of the center. Now, I think at some point you have to evaluate the pros and cons to the peel. You have shot rock at the back of the 4 foot. There may be an opportunity late in the end to put some pressure onto Team Duncan again to make them earn their 2 points. And what a shot there from Preston Russell. You can see the emotion, his fist pump. He made that run back, clears away 2 red stones, raises his yellow rock into that rock in the top 8. And wow, Team Hennig is now sitting pretty, sitting 2 in the house. Both of them are buried. What a shot.
You know what? That's got to feel good being in a semifinal to make a big shot like that. And it's a turning point in this end, as there's a lot of yellows in the house, not many reds.
And just like that, you can see some of the momentum changing with that positive emotion exuding from Team Hennig. Team Duncan, Spencer Elsa just threw that one a little bit too heavy, got a little amped up. And now, you know, this window is closing pretty fast here. So like I had said earlier, there might be a time in the end where we want to, you know, change gears. And this is that time. Looks like instead of clearing the sender and clearing rocks from play, Team Hennig is saying, well, there's not really any risk anymore. Let's just draw around.
Exactly. If Team Hennig makes this one really good, it's going to be very hard for Nolan to score, or to score multiple even. You know, after a little bit of a momentum shift like that, Jason, is there something you see teams do to kind of keep the morale up and to make sure that, you know, it might not be looking good, but there's still a chance. So to keep the smiles on faces and keep focused.
Yeah, I don't know if smiles on faces is as important as just making sure you're thinking the right way. And so if I'm one of the sweepers here talking to Spencer, I'm trying to give him as much information as he can or as he wants to make that next shot. If I'm Spencer, I'm just taking an extra deep breath and saying, hey, you know what? It's just a draw to the 4-foot. I'll, you know, I've done this many times in my life before. Let's just do it again. These teams are all so talented. They've played all the shots. They've made all the shots before. It's just doing it now at the right times. This one just comes up short. It appears as though Team Hennig is still sitting 3 points in the house. 1 in the back 4, 1 in the back 8, and 1 in the top of the 8-foot. As Team Duncan, his rock just stopped about a foot short of out-counting that rock in the top of the 8-foot.
You know, going back to what you said, I really like you mentioning taking that extra second when they're in the hack. A lot of teams here at Provincials are rushing through their setup and everything because you have time clocks. You want to make sure your skip has lots of time to talk through shots and to the ice taking up his time. But you do have to remember that there's a way to be quick, but you want to keep focused. You want to make sure you're not rushing and that you're set up perfectly and give yourself the best chance to make your shot.
So something I saw that I think was good by Austin was just kind of use your ECI, I believe, for this end and just ask his coach quickly, is this the right play? And his coach gave him a quick, yep, that's the right play, and just immediately into the shot, right? You have that in your back pocket. Why not use it?
So as we saw the coach interaction being called for. So one note with the coach interaction is that the teams, they do start with 34 minutes of thinking time, which is 4 minutes more than they would have had before the coach interactions. However, the clock doesn't stop during the interaction. So if a coach wants to come out and interact with the team, it's not a timeout in the sense of stopping the clock. So teams still have to be cognizant of how much time they're burning in those coach interactions. So great call, great execution from Austin Hennig, makes that guard. It appears as though that has taken away the left side of the sheet from Team Duncan, unless we can get some extra curl after the top 8 rock there. So it's leaving Team Duncan little to work with to score 2 points. At this point, looks like they're looking at a way to open up a path to score their one.
Yeah, with the guards being as tight as they are, it makes it hard for Nolan to even play a little bit of a soft weight shot. Normally in these situations, you want to keep rocks around to help you score, but with them being so tight, you might have to open yourself up a path and make sure that you're not going to be stolen on, because being forced is a lot better than Team Hennig getting another point and being that one more ahead.
At this point, though, like, I don't know if one will do it. It's going to keep you in the game as, potential to steal 2 in the next end, but they're needing to, at minimum here, to give themselves a greater chance at winning this game. So to do that, I think they're likely going to have to remove the guard plus 1 or 2 of the rocks in the house to open that top 8 rock up to score again. That's what Nolan will look to do.
And you're completely right. With how good teams are nowadays, even at the U18 level, you have to score multiple here because it's very unlikely that Hennig in the last end is going to give up a chance for Nolan and his team to score a lot. So trying as many points as you can this end makes it a little easier
gets
for your
1,
8th
gets
end.
2, and just the 2. So pretty good result there from Nolan Duncan making the run back. Has opened up at least a path to the 4-foot for his 1 on the outturn side. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to make contact with the rock in the back of the 4-foot. So here we are. I think Austin Hennig is, he signaled draw right to the top of the 4-foot. Now, Rhett, we like to talk about tolerance a little bit here. When you're throwing this rock as a skip yourself, what's your thought going in to making a draw like this?
Well, I know especially for me, communication on our team is a big thing. We're always talking about, like you said, tolerance or how the side of the sheet is running, because as I've mentioned earlier, placement is so key, especially in games like this. A little bit lighter here is okay for Austin. Anything deep allows him to maybe get a chance at a multiple score. So as it comes in, his sweeper's going to make sure that even if that it's going to be in a nice spot.
And just a fantastic result there. Biting the top of the 4-foot. It's left Team Duncan looking at 3 yellow stones in the house. Austin Hennig, beautiful draw weight there. That outturn draw has been his bread and butter all day. Now looking at the conversation, they're thinking, okay, well, I don't know if we have the draw path for 1. I guess secondly, we don't know if 1's good enough. Do you think they're going to take a chance at this run back?
Knowing Nolan's hitting ability, I think they're looking at it because, like you said, 1 might not do it. With the caliber of teams, you have to score a multiple here to keep yourself in the game. So I think they're going to look at this run back. It's a little bit of a risky shot, but I think you have to take it on.
Yeah, I agree. It's risky. And I think at this point in the game, you have to accept any risk now if you want to try to score 2. Based on the angles, they're going to have to make this with enough weight to get that middle rock that's in the back of the 4-foot spinning. So it looks like he'll have to hit the center guard, that red center guard, promote that into the rock that Austin just threw, into the rock that's in the back of the 4-foot, and hope that you clip the back 8 rock and have everything spin out of the house. Now, you had mentioned lively rocks earlier. You're gonna need some lively rocks to make that happen.
And see, that is the fun part here is we get to see shots like this. Those lively rocks, we get to see lots of granite moving, and for the other token, Nolan's gonna have to make sure he hits this in the right spot. Like you said, he's going to have to get the 1 spinning, so...
If I could chime in here quick, guys. We do have a final score in the women's semifinal. Team Yurko took it 9-2, so Team Yurka will be headed to play in our final this afternoon, but they are also off to the U18 Nationals. So, and I just want to give a shout out to Team Kui. They played phenomenal this week. I know they're heartbroken right now, but they have nothing to be disappointed in. They played phenomenally. So congrats to Team Yurka, but also congrats to Team Kui on a great week.
Thank you, Raymond. As we get back into action in the men's semifinal, huge shot attempt here from Nolan Duncan. A run back triple for 2 points.
He's not lacking any weight, that's for sure. Oh.
And he has removed one of his own and none of the yellows in the house. That will be a steal of 3 for Team Hennig to take a 7-1 lead. And that'll be handshakes. So there we have it. Team Hennig now it is advanced to the final of the U18 Boys Provincial Championships. Austin Hennig, Preston Russell, Matthew Reiniger, and Hugo Chow. They will be representing Alberta at the U18 Nationals. As you see their celebrations, they know that they'll be going to Saskatoon with Alberta colors, the wild rose on their back, and able to represent our home province at the Nationals. So great effort from Team Duncan throughout this week. They show that they were one of the top teams. Unfortunately, they have bowed out today in the semifinals. Congratulations to them for a great week. Congratulations to Team Hennig for advancing to the finals. You'll see me back commentating that final game. I'd like to thank our fellow commentators, Rhett Mallioux and Raymond Vanstone, for their assistance in the booth and their guidance, their expertise. Thank you all. And thanks again to Tim Burton for production, always the most professional quality. We'll see you all back in a few hours for our final match. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston Pizza at home.
I love that.
I guess I got